Hi guys, this is Daniel, and today I'm going to show you how to enable JMX on a JamfPro server and integrate it with a Zabbix server. So at the moment I've got a Jamf server running 10.5.0, but JMX is not enabled. So Jamf does have a very good KB article on how to enable JMX for reporting, specifically using for, say, JConsole or Zabbix. So we're going to follow this guide here. It's article 528. To enable JMX settings, and then we'll continue on with creating a Zabbix server. So I'll go to my terminal here, and I'm going to SSH into my server. Okay, and I'm literally just going to follow these steps here. So it's a Linux server here, so I'm going to copy from the Java folder. So I'm Java 1.8. And I'll just do the JRE, and I'm going to copy this JMX password into the etc file, into the etc folder. Authenticate that. Okay, next thing we do is just give it permissions. Okay, and then I'm going to edit the file. So this is specifically a password file for the JMX monitoring, and right down the bottom you've got two accounts here, a monitor role and a control role. So we're just going to comment out both of these. If you wanted to, you could change the default passwords. I'll just leave them as the defaults for this demonstration. So I'll exit out of that. What we need to do now is we need to modify this env file to enable the JMX settings there. Okay, so if we scroll down, we've got the examples here. I'm just going to copy all of this and paste, and the important thing to do, I'll just make that a bit wider, is to change this on the second last line, my IP address. We're going to update that with the actual IP address of the server, which is 192.168.100.20. Okay, and the last thing we need to do is modify the database XML. And we're going to add the flag in here, enable JMX true. So you can put it anywhere as long as it's within this database. What I'll do is I'll just put it under here. Copy this, and paste. And then I just need to restart Tomcat. So I'll do that now. Perfect. So while that's restarting, I'm going to jump over into my Zabbix server here. So I'll just make a new terminal window. And I'll go SSH server admin at 192.168.100.30. Okay, so here's my Zabbix server. Now I haven't actually installed Zabbix yet. It is just a vanilla Ubuntu 16.04 server. So I can close this here. So Zabbix actually has a very useful guide as well for installing this. So if we go to the Zabbix webpage, you can see they have an appliance, which is a pre-configured OVA that you can use for testing. I'm going to do it by the package, so I can sort of demonstrate what the different modules are. So we're going to get the latest version on Ubuntu 16.04, and we'll use the MySQL database. So it's pretty straightforward, so we'll just do this line here. This then adds the Zabbix repo to the apt directory, and I'll just extract that out. Oh. Make sure I do this as sudo. Okay, and now if I do an update, it will query the Zabbix directories as well. You see that there. Excellent. So what we're going to do is now we're going to install. Now the instructions here are just installing the Zabbix server, the front end, which is a PHP web page, and also the Zabbix agent, which is used for reporting. We're going to include a fourth, which is going to be the Zabbix Java gateway. This is used for Zabbix to be able to query through JMX. So I'll copy that and I'll paste that in there, and I'll just add into here Zabbix Java, and I'll tab, and there's Java gateway. Okay, I'll go yes. So this is going to cycle through, it's going to download a bunch of stuff, MySQL, if it needs Java, it's going to install Java, a whole heap of stuff here. There you go, there's OpenJDK 9. So you would install the Zabbix agent maybe on your client servers to get reporting at an OS level, like your hard drive size, your CPU size, your CPU, your memory, that kind of stuff. The specific Zabbix Java gateway is for use for connecting through to JMX endpoints. Okay, so that's getting through there now. Java is always fun to install. So as I said, this is a completely clean Ubuntu server, and I'm just literally following the steps on the website here. Perfect. Okay, so now what we need to do is, so Zabbix stores all this information into a MySQL database. So we're going to just go down to the next step here. We're going to create the database. So MySQL root-p. There is no password, so we'll just go enter. And now we're in the MySQL MariaDB formatting command line here. So we're just going to copy and paste this. All right, so let's create the database called Zabbix, character set UTF-8. We're going to grant the privileges and at the same time create an account. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to just change this password. You would change this to be something a bit more secure. For this demonstration, I'm just going to call it Zabbix. Okay, and then we'll quit. All right, so that's created the database and created an account and given the privileges to it. Now what we can do is actually, they provide in the USR share a template database. So we're going to extract that into the database we just created. So this is the username, this is going to be the prompt for the password, and this is the database name. All right, so Zabbix for the password. All right, so that's extracted there. And now we need to modify the Zabbix server configuration file so that it can access this database. So that's going to be in this path here. So go nano. Oh, helps when I do the path. Yep. Okay, so we'll do a search for DB password. You see there it is there. So the DB name is Zabbix, which is fine. The schema will leave the user is Zabbix and the password. We're going to uncomment that out. And the password is Zabbix. While we're also in this configuration file, we're also going to look for the Java gateway settings, and we're going to enable those as well. So if I do a find here, I'm going to then do Java gateway. Okay, so there's a Java gateway here. All right, so I'll uncomment this, and I'll just do the local IP, so 192.168.100.30. This is the default port for it, so I'm just going to uncomment that. And the polar. I'm going to enable the polar, and I'm going to change this to be a 5. Okay, I'm going to exit out of this and save it. The other thing I'm going to change is there is a Zabbix Java gateway configuration file. So if I go nano now, I go etc Zabbix Java gateway dot configuration or conf. All right, this is where I enable it as well. So I'm going to say listen on, and I'm just going to put in the local IP here as well. 192.168.100.30. The listen port, you'll see this is matching the same I put in the server configuration. And the start polars, I'll put that to be 5 as well. Exit that, I'll say save. Okay, so if we jump back into our website here, we're going to then look at configuring the PHP configurations. So if we go to the Apache configuration file, right? So there's modules for PHP version 5 and PHP 7, and you'll see here there's a line on each determining the date and time. So if you're unsure of how to determine what your date and time is, or your time zone, we'll exit out of this first, and what you would do would be a time date ctl-list. Oh wait, sorry, got that the wrong one. List time zones. Pipe that and you can grab your country. So in Australia, oh, and it would help if I can spell properly. There we go. So this is the time zone that I'm currently in. So I'll copy this. I'll go back into my configuration file here. So we've installed version 7 of PHP, so we don't need to worry about this one here. I like to keep things, you know, symmetrical, so I'll just update it for both. Okay, and I'll uncomment out this line as well. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to start the server and agent and Apache, and we'll also include the Java gateway as well. So I just say Zabbix Java, there we go, and get rid of the .service if you don't like it. Okay, so that's restarting all those, and I'll just also go to systemctl enable all of those as well. Yeah, perfect. So the server's up and running. So now what we can do is we can navigate to it. So we got another tab, and just go to the Zabbix server here. Oh, wrong IP. Okay, so we go to the setup page, so everything's okay and everything's happy. It's got my time zone there. Put in the MySQL password for the database, which is nice and secure. I won't worry about this. We go next, and finish. So the default login for this is going to be admin and Zabbix lowercase. Very importantly, you have a capital A for the admin. I'll save that in there. Okay, so now we have a Zabbix server. So what we need to do is actually point the Zabbix server. We need to make a host for our Jamf server and then add in our JMX details. So Jamf server up, it is. Now you can confirm that the JMX is working if you go to another terminal window. You will need Java installed locally on your Mac for this, and you can just type in jconsole. This opens up the Java monitoring management console here. I'll say a remote process, and I'll type in the IP and the port. This port information was all in that document there. Monitor role, QED, so the username and password. Okay, a secure connection has failed, that's fine, we'll go in insecure. And I'm connected to the server here through JMX. Go to the mbeans here, you see Jamf software, whole bunch of endpoints that we can report on. And we can add these endpoints into Zabbix so you can like get constant graphing, multiple servers, that kind of thing. So let's do that. So we'll go to our configuration and we'll go to hosts. All right, there's our Zabbix server, it's added there, but it's just disabled. And you can see the different points that it can query on. The Zabbix agent, SNMP, JMX, IPMI. We're going to be focusing on JMX. So we're going to create a host. The host name, we'll just call this 2.168.100.20, and the visible name, we'll call this JamfPro server. I'll make a new group, call this Jamf servers. Agent interface, I won't have, but I will have a JMX. 92.168.100.20, and the port 3333. Okay, and I'll go add. Now I can jump back into here, I can click on the items, and I can create an item, and this will be our JMX items. All right, the type will be JMX agent, and to get a list of what the items are, we can go to the JMX glossary, which is another KB article in Jamf Nation. which outlines all the different components here, and there are quite a few. The one I'll use for today is going to be this one here at the top, which is our LDAP connections, and I'll be looking at the borrowed count. So I'll call this LDAP borrowed count. The key is going to be this, and you can see this in JConsole as well. If I go connections, connections, and then attributes, there's our borrowed count there. So I can copy it out of here, or I can copy it out of here. Paste that in there. All right. Very important, however, I didn't want that. I'm going to prefix it with a JMX. I'll do a square bracket, and I'll quote the whole thing, because I'm also going to include the attribute itself as well, which is the borrowed count here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the end here, and I'm going to quote that there, make a comma, do another quote, and I'm going to do the attribute name. In there, paste that, close the quote, and then I close the square bracket. Okay, the username and password, this will be the monitor role, and the password. It's going to be numeric unsigned. I'll say the update interval for this one here, I'll make it 5 seconds just so you can see something, but you don't want this to be too high, too low a number, because otherwise you'll start flooding your server. I'll set a new application, call this Tomcat. We'll go add. Okay, so we should be able to see in here now. If I go back to my hosts, go to the monitoring, I can go to latest data against my hosts here. All right, there's my LDAP borrowed count. It does take a little bit of time to populate this information in. Whereas the JConsole, you probably see it a little more frequently. You can see I've got 0 in here at the moment. If I go into my Jamf server, bring that there. LDAP servers. I do have an LDAP server connected, but I haven't ever done any tests against it. So what I do have is this LDAP load script here, where we should be able to see this number change. You can see idle count is all 0. So if I go to terminal, make another terminal window, and I'll just go to the desktop, LDAP. What this script is a very simple script. It's doing it through the API to do an LDAP search against an LDAP username, just formatting it out, and then echoing out, doing a sleep, and cycling it through until it hits 1,000. Okay, so that's just going to run. If I refresh this, see that's gone up. Borrow count's gone to 6, 7, 8. That should hit up at 1,000. That's going to happen every single time. Idle count, active count, because it's like hitting and then releasing, I won't ever see that really happening. Look at that growing there. If I refresh this, you can see its last check was successful there in the last value. When it checks in again, there it is. And it'll continue to populate from this. What we can then do is, with Zabbix, is you can graph this information. You can see it's just spiked. And if you wanted to have it as a saved graph, you can go back into your host here. You can see there's graphs there. And you would create a graph. Name, LDAP, borrowed count. We add the item that we want, which is this. Give it a color if you like. You can have multiple items as you wanted to. Go add. Go back to our monitoring there, and there's our graphs. LDAP borrowed count. Yeah, it's not going to be happy with that for a while. But yeah, so that's a way of connecting enabling JMX on the Jamf server, setting up a Zabbix server, and then having them talk to each other so you can get some nice reporting. I encourage you to read through the glossary to see what all the other options that you can find. Some are against LDAP, VPP, device check-in, API check-in. There's a whole heap of options in there. Hope you found this helpful. Thanks very much.